The previous video ended with a completed idea brief. That is where this workflow begins. We do not jump directly into a PRD in one AI pass. We first audit the brief, what is already decided, what needs clarification, what is deferred, and what stays out of scope. When we resolve the open questions, log the reasoning, build a reusable PRD skill, agent and template, and finally create a traceable PRD. Let's walk through it. So let me come back here. I am using TerraHigh Codex and let me paste the whole prompt. If you want to know where the prompt is, actually I will be giving you a link to a separate document where you should be able to find this particular prompt, and we will just kick off PRD generation. So start following the instructions provided here and kick off the PRD creation session. So let it start. In the meantime, I will explain what exactly this is doing. So what we are trying to do as a part of this particular prompt is, first we already have a idea brief. This particular idea brief, we will go through it and we try to do a kind of a audit. That is what that particular prompt is doing. So it is basically trying to understand that particular idea brief and try to do a requirement audit. Try to figure out, can it come up with the requirements from the idea brief and convert it into a audit. It might automatically pick up certain things, but everything might not be available very clearly when it does this particular audit requirement. So in that case, what it has to do, the prompt is designed to do, ask for clarifications. So here in this case, you can call it as a clarification loop, where it will keep on asking questions to clarify any doubts that it might be having. So this is kind of a loop. And once the clarifications are all cleared, it locks the decisions. It will basically ask a lot of questions and you should be able to give back a lot of responses. And then based on the locked decisions, the next step happens, which is build the PRD harness. When do I say build the PRD harness, I basically mean more than one document. So I will have to create a skill that generates the PRD generation skill, because this is not the only first time that you want to use it. You want to use it again and later. Then you need to create a agent which helps you to utilize that particular skill. And then I need to create a PRD template. Of course, all these things can't be created in isolation. There would be approval process involved, wherein the agent has to basically ask for the end user that these are the decisions, do you approve it? And only based on that, the next process basically starts. And then finally, I would say the last step, which is create and validate the PRD document as per the PRD template that we might have defined in the previous step. So this is what the whole overall flow of the PRD stage actually looks like. Is this the only best way? Not necessarily, but this is something very basic that you can get started with when you are working in any project. So I have already kicked off session. So let me go back there, what it is asking. So it has already come up with certain things. So it says that it has certain things which are inherited and resolved. And then it says needs clarification and deliberately deferred and out of scope. So for first three decisions, decision required, habit and progress input contract. So it basically is telling that these three decisions will have to be clarified, and now it is reasoning about for each of those decisions, what is the recommendation, what are the trade-offs, why it is thinking that it needs to be done in this way, and what does it mean if you take this decision right now in the downstream, how it is going to basically affect. Now, why is it giving in this way? Because the prompt that I had written had specifically asked it to suggest the recommendations in this format. So let me just quickly go through all these things.
A few moments later.
The recommendations look fairly well reasoned. So I will say that go ahead with recommendations. Now it will run through another loop because these decisions will have impact on some of the other things. So then it might ask a couple of more clarifications based on that. And once again, as you can see here, need clarifications, deliberately deferred and out of scope. And now let me just quickly go through what are the decisions. You can be pretty sure that this takes quite an amount of time. Typically what I do is this session happens over multiple days. It would be impossible for me to go through all these things in one single sitting. So I basically kick off PRD session and then I take my own time to read through these things in a very detailed way. Then I will provide my own inputs if the sum of the recommendations that it is giving is not as per my expectation. So I will tweak the things. The whole idea is to have as much clarity as possible in the PRD stage itself. That is the reason why take your own sweet time to read through the PRD decisions, and only once you are 100% sure, then only you lock in the decisions. That is the reason why I would actually prefer if you don't do it in one single sitting. You need to have a proper system thinking. You need to understand how it impacts some of the other decisions that you might be doing later. And you also have to reason yourself why you think you are taking these decisions. You cannot assume that LLM will be able to record these reasonings on its own. So when you give the feedback, you have to give the feedback with the intent, with the reasoning, so that that also become part of the durable documentation. Do not leave out anything in your head. Whatever that your thought process is during this particular session, make it part of the text whenever you are giving the responses. The more better you articulate yourself in this particular session, much easier it will be for the LLM during the implementation phase or next phase to come up with better suggestion, because it has the understanding and context of the reasoning that you had given during the PRD ideation session. So take your time in this stage. So let me complete this and I will come back to it a bit later.
A few moments later.
So you can see that I went through quite a number of sessions here and I gave my responses, and then finally here it has locked in the decisions. It is showing what is inherited and resolved, what are all the decisions that we have approved, what are deliberately deferred. If you see here, most of these things are technical in nature. That is the reason why I have deferred it. Deferred it to where I will be talking about a bit later. And then all PRD areas that have been resolved now are product goal, user journeys, functional requirements. All are these different sections of the application. Privacy, accessibility, and reliability responsiveness resolved or deliberately deferred. Acceptance criteria and decision traceability resolved, derivable only from the inherited and all these things. So that should be fine. So now it is saying that there are no unclassified product questions. All things are basically resolved. Now what I want to do is I want to create a skill based on the kind of conversation that I have had so far. So I will just say that based on this conversation and the locked PRD decisions, create a PRD creation skill. And when I hit that, it should basically create a new skill which can be invoked every now and then whenever I want to create a new PRD, because a product is never static. It goes through evolution. In the first phase, you might implement something. In the second phase, after 6 months, some new requirements will come and you will definitely will have to do a ideation session, and once again you will have to convert those idea brief into a product requirement. So at that point in time, you don't want to once again start by copy pasting the prompt that we started with earlier. So you can see that it has already created a skill. The name is PRD creation and it basically facilitates the PRD. This is good. And now what I want to do is I need also a agent which complements the PRD creation skill, which runs in a loop resolving all the outstanding questions to create a PRD document in a standard template. So help me create PRD creator agent and PRD template. And you can see that this is a little bit more complicated. So instead of directly hitting enter, what I will do is in Codex, I have something called as plan mode. So I will ask it to plan a bit. So it doesn't directly get into the creative mode. It plans it. It doesn't edit any file. So plan and propose how you want to do it and hit enter. And one suggestion that I would give you is whenever you are doing a little bit more complicated stuff which requires a little bit more planning where the agent has to go through tons of other documents, then what I suggest is you run that particular session in the plan mode rather than directly doing it in the creator mode. So right now it is asking, do you want to just create agent and template only and also create PRD? No, I just want to create an agent and template because I want to review it. And if there are any mistakes, then probably refine it. And then based on that, ask it to create the PRD in the template that I have finalized.
A few moments later.
Implement this plan. So only if I approve, then only it goes ahead and starts implementing that particular plan. So this is the agent. It uses PRD creation skills and uses PRD template. What are the responsibilities? Yeah, this looks good. Let me also check the template. Product status, owner, date, goal, V1 boundary assumptions, non-goals, users and observables journeys, intended users, functional requirements, domain vocabulary, state transitions. Yeah, this is pretty good for this kind of project. I will say that please go ahead and create the PRD based on the decisions that we have locked in the conversation earlier and document that particular PRD in the just created PRD template. Plan this, and I am once again using a plan mode because I don't want to lose out anything. I want to be a little bit cautious because PRD is a very important document. If I miss out anything, it can become a problem in the downstream development journeys. So let it plan it a bit better and then we will create a durable document out of it. Let me go through this. Yeah, implement this plan. The product requirement document in this case, I am creating in a .md format file in the repository itself, which is part of the code base. In your organization, most likely that might not be the case. You might be using Jira, you might be using, say, Azure, DevOps, ADO. In that case, this might not work. So in that case, you have to integrate a MCP server, a Jira MCP server or a ADO MCP server, using which you can run the ideation session here in the Codex or Cloud or GitHub Copilot. But then you can say that you want this outcome to be documented in the ADO or Jira in whatever the format that you want to maintain as per your organization standards. You can also create skills which specifically are useful in your use case so that it converts the ideation generated document, which is usually a .md file, and translate that into a Jira ticket or a ADO PBI, that is product backlog item, in a way that works in your organization. And MCP server is just a tooling option that will help you to do that. There are also cases where people actually use GitHub issues to basically document their PRDs. That is also perfectly fine. I have used that and it works out very well also. The advantage is because it will become part of your GitHub issue list, you can open, close, approve, delete, and it will go through its own various state transitions and it becomes much more easily manageable also. So I suggest even you guys explore that part as well. So looks like the PRD document is created. These are the functional requirements. These are the domain vocabulary, basically definition of what these terms mean. What are the state transitions? What are the interaction outcomes, notifications, non-functional product requirements? Yeah, this is pretty comprehensive. Now I will just commit and push it, and because of that I have now another template which is a PRD template, and then under PRD creation I have another skill, and then I have creator agent as well. Now after having done that, what is the next part? If you come back here, we have now created a PRD, but this doesn't contain any technical decisions so far. So the next thing is technical decisions. So I would rather call it as architecting. That will be the next video in which I will walk you through how to create agent harness, which will help you to create a proper architecture for whatever the product that you are trying to build. And once again, we will have to create our own skill and harness and a template in which we want to document our architecture decisions, or what you typically call as ADRs, architecture design reviews. And this is what we will do in the next video. So stay tuned for the next video. Thanks for your time. That brings us to the end of this particular video. Don't forget to like, comment, share the video and subscribe to the channel. Take care. Bye.